A therapist told me, she goes, you can change somebody's religion before you can change somebody's nutrition. The very first thing is to understand salt is the new sugar.
Welcome to Big Butts No Lies. I'm Mavi, your go-to guide for everything plastic surgery. With 18 years in the industry working alongside top board-certified plastic surgeons, I know what really goes down: the good, the bad, and the botched. Now I work for you, bringing you real, unbiased info to help you make the best choices for your dream look. Whether you're going for subtle enhancements or a full-on transformation, I'm here to give you the facts, the tips, and the confidence to navigate your surgery journey. Let's get into it. Should be fun. Hey guys, do I have the show for you today? I'm so excited to have one of my very dear friends back, and you guys are really going to enjoy this episode because Kylie and I, we go back. And I'm so happy to have you on the show today. You guys are going to get to hear from Kylie, the creator of Sulinu. Hi, Kylie.
Oh, Mavi, this is going to be incredible. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Thank you again. I'm so honored to be on here. It's been a beautiful thing to see you on this journey.
Thank you so much, Kylie. And we've
Yeah.
been on it kind of parallel, right? We've been working on our projects together simultaneously, going through the ups and downs of like, oh my God, what's happening out here?
Yeah.
So before we
Yeah.
get too far, I have my list of questions that I have for you.
Let's do it.
For my audience who might not know much about you, I would like for you to introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Kylie. I'm a plastic surgery dietitian, and I was a surgery dietitian for over a decade. Found a huge need in the plastic surgery space, and we created what's called Sulinu. That is plastic surgery recovery nutrition. Actually, I should say overall nutrition. And we want to educate and empower and heal the patient faster using surgery nutrition. Nutrition is the number one way to have an easier recovery after surgery. And we're also seeing beautiful scars come from the nutrition. So we created this company and we use supplementation and we use education to educate women on how to have an easier recovery from plastic surgery.
I love it.
And also reconstruction, breast cancer, skin removal. So all the things.
All the things. Anything with the long incision or even a short incision. Let me tell you that ever since I opened the Recovery Haven, I've had a few clients come through who have been on Sulinu, and I can see the difference. It's crazy. It is.
Yeah.
Blows my mind to like see it in front of me of like, I've never seen somebody come out of lipo, aggressive lipo, with no bruises. Girl.
Aggressive.
And she told me, I've been drinking my Sulinu for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. And that is what, like you have nutrition information. There's no research on like cosmetic surgery nutrition. So you have the research on surgery nutrition, but what you don't have a lot of research on is the bruising and the swelling, because they're not really doing a research on that in normal surgery hospitals. And so to have all that feedback that we've had the last 2 years about the swelling and bruising, that has been the number one biggest surprise as the founder, is because we don't have that data in the surgery space. We just have it through just our customers telling us this. But it has been hands down nutrition through like bruise reduction through nutrition, swelling reduction through nutrition. That has been, and it's been like the best thing ever, because that's been the biggest concern with most women,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to hear that.
So, okay, now that my girls know a little bit more about you, now I can dive into my questions. So, I know that you said that you were already a dietitian before surgery. What was it that inspired you to go for it? Because as a fellow founder, it takes a lot of determination and I think just belief. So how was that for you?
Well, it definitely was a slow process of just like step by step that I didn't even know that was happening. First was that I was at home taking care of my kids, and I was just ready for something different and something new. At the same time, I had three girlfriends go through breast surgery with complications. They were all educated in the healthcare field. Two of them were in the healthcare field. And another one was a business owner. And all of them had some type of complications. And then at the same time, we had become friends with a plastic surgeon who trained with my husband in Boston, and we were in Nashville and he was in Atlanta. And so we were spending time with him as well. And so we all went on vacation together one time, and I said, what? And this man was Harvard trained, so I knew that he was educated. I knew that he was good, and I knew he cared for his patients. And I said, "What do you do for your patients after plastic surgery?" And I'll never forget it. He looked me in the eye and said, "Nothing. We usually tell them to eat more protein and take arnica." And I remember just this spiritual "Ooh," this moment of this is what I'm called to do. But also it was this huge grave, this is a huge injustice for all women, for all women. And I was just like, there is no reason why these women do not deserve better. There's no women. And when I say these women, I mean like women in general undergoing any elective surgery. That is just so wrong. That is so wrong. Especially if you're paying cash, especially if you're sacrificing, you're working so hard, you're saving up money, you're doing so many things. It's so stressful. There's just this huge, huge, huge gap. I mean, it was just enormous. And I just thought to myself, I knew, like, I had all the tools. I had all the tools from my experience in
Yes.
order to do this and to make it in the plastic surgery space. And I just was obsessed with all things aesthetics, all things cosmetic. I was just obsessed with all that anyways. So then I had just had all this so it all came together. My education, my work experience, this enormous rage for protecting women, and then also being like, I already know what to do. I already know what to do. So that was in May of 19. And then that's where it started at. And then it was just, we did not launch until 5 years later. So that's how long it took to get this whole thing launched. But that's how it all began. And now it's just like, man, this is my calling. Like, this is my absolute calling, is to help and educate women. And now it's kind of gone into really educating surgeons and post-op providers. That's been a huge niche as well that I've just been trying to kind of get into as well
Oh,
to
I
help
love it.
them.
I love
Yeah.
it. Um, so many things I want to say. Where do I start?
I will say, I do want to tell you this story. So when you texted me, I was at a park in Franklin, Tennessee, and you're like, "Hey, I'm doing this podcast. Can you talk?" And so I was like, "Sure." And I texted you, and then I was all planning like this big spill, and you called me like an hour later, and you recorded it right then and there, and we talked for like an hour, and that was the beginning. But that was the year that was like, I mean, when you start something big, you are going to have every fight and every wall against you, no matter what you do. If you do truly something big, it will be a fight up to the hill. And so, beginning on that, literally that conversation, it was just like, that was really the beginning of just probably the worst year of my life. And then it was just horrible. And it was just that whole year. But it's like, if you can persevere through that, then everything else is golden.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I remember a little bit about what happened that year you mentioned to me. So I
Ah,
know it was tough. It was tough.
awful, awful. Yeah. I'll never forget. I called. I'd been waiting to call. I had a mentor in Boston, and it when I thought of the when I thought of the business concept, I was in Boston that summer, and I was going to call her about my business because she has she was an RD, she's a dietitian, but she also had an MBA, and she was in charge of like a healthcare facility. And I said she would be so proud of this moment because I was like her little protege, and she would love the concept. Like she would understand the concept of what I was doing. And so but I didn't want to tell her. I didn't want to tell her because I wanted it to come, like, I just wanted to present it to her as a present and be like, this is what you helped me do. This is you. I want you on my board. I want you like with me on this whole journey. I want you with me. So I waited until I think when we talked 2021, 22, and I was launching that fall, and I Googled her to make sure that where she was or whatever. And I think that was in February, and her obituary popped up, and she had passed away. I'm not quite sure what it was, um, but it wasn't like a medical. It was just something dark and dirty and all the things. And she had passed away 4 months prior. And I
So you're
think that
looking
was
her up.
that was one of the many, many, many things that happened that year. So awful. I know,
That
it's
is
terrible.
awful. That is awful. I want to
Yeah.
talk about your resilience though. And on this show, we always talk about surgery. We talk about all the ins and outs of recovery. And I do want to hit that while I have you on the show. But I
Yeah.
also want to highlight the women behind these brands that are coming out, these
Mhm.
things that are made for women.
Mhm.
And part of the community, I talked to you guys a few episodes ago of what makes me feel so unstoppable is the support in the community of
Yeah.
powerful and just
Mhm.
loving women that
Mhm.
are around me who just encourage, and we're all with the same purpose of helping others and
Yeah.
helping other women and supporting and empowering and all of that. And you've been one of those. When
Yeah.
we met, we started just supporting each other with
Yeah.
really my reason to support you was I loved what you were doing. I loved
Mhm.
your personality. I thought you had a really great mission going, and I'm like, let's if we can empower each other, like we can do anything. We can together. We can all do create change. We can all create a movement that maybe it starts slow with women need more after surgery. It can't be just send them home
Mhm.
and give them arnica. It can't be just
Mhm.
good luck and we'll see you at
Right.
your post-op. Women
Mhm.
deserve more, and I think
Mhm.
that has been an underlying message of this community of like we need more than
Yeah.
just getting through the surgery. The
Mhm.
surgery is just like a portion of it. It's just
Mhm.
one day of this
Mhm.
whole
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
long 1 year plus
Mhm.
journey of
Mhm.
having going through searching, having surgery, and recovering.
Mhm.
So
I love how but you have such an open mind. Like you were the one you were like, you have to have an open mindset. You have to have a wealth mindset. And I was the one that was like so suspicious. I was like, oh no, we are not doing, I mean, like it was constant. I was like, I am not doing this. I do not trust them. We are not, no, no,
yeah,
like
we're
red
not.
flag
I'm
all
not
the
getting
time.
involved.
And
Yeah,
every single stinking time you just said, Kylie, like have an open heart, have an open hand. And then I'll never forget you said, there is plenty of room at the table, just like, just having that open mindset. And I feel between you and Diana, you two really, really, really encouraged me to be like, okay, I need to flip my thinking
yeah,
and just flip my thinking and just be encouraging to people and to be open to people and to be okay. Like not everybody's going to run the same race, and not everybody's going to, and that's okay. There's as long as people are genuine in how they help people, there is room,
there's room, and
there
we
is
can all
room.
uplift each other.
Yeah.
If we like, for me, I can uplift another person if I see that what they're doing is
Yeah.
beautiful, kind, like
Yeah.
generous. If I see that these people are around me, I'm going to support them and uplift them.
Yeah.
And it's because I've been supported and uplifted through my career and journey. I remember this conversation that you and I had, and I told you something that somebody had told me before, which was It was a nurse injector that I worked with, who I love, Renee. I love you so much. But she has been somebody that has really encouraged me
Mm-hmm.
to take the steps. When I was working with her, we worked at an office together, and we both left unexpectedly on our own. Um, but it was scary because I didn't have my next step set up.
Mm. Yeah.
And I remember standing at the at the elevator, and we're looking at each other, and she's like, a person walking around with their hands closed is never going to receive. And
Oh.
she's like, if you put your hands out and you trust God that you're going to be fine and that everything's going to work out and it's
Mm-hmm.
everything's working out
Mm-hmm.
in your best interest,
Mm-hmm.
she's like, it's going to happen. And if you don't, I'll never forget, she told me, if you don't take your step off the cliff into the abyss, that next step is never going to appear. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like crying. She tells me, your big brown eyes and these water droplets just coming down. And I was like, okay. And we got in the elevator and we left. And the next day I had another job. I didn't even
Oh
have
my gosh.
I didn't even have anything like planned, but by a few phone calls were made, and the next day I already had another job. And that was the beginning
Yeah.
of to how I ended up here,
Mm-hmm. That's
taking that step.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There were dozens and dozens and dozens of times during my journey that I would lie in bed at night and I would say, God, I know that you're real. I just need a hug tomorrow. That's what I said. I would say, I just need a hug. I just need something tomorrow to just get me past tomorrow. That's all I need. I don't need to look at 2 weeks from now. Just get me past tomorrow. And every single time. I didn't do it every day. It wasn't a lot, but it was every single time. It was like, boom, here's your sign. Here's your sign. It was just something that came in to be like, you can do hard things. This can be difficult. You're beating out 99% of the other people who will never do it, and they're afraid, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, you're going to be okay. You'll be fine. And so I think that right there, and that's also if you're having surgery, for the next day it's going to be difficult, but hardly anybody, most people are afraid to do it. So just do it, you know?
Part of my coaching is getting my girls through that emotional roller coaster,
Mm-hmm.
because leading up to the surgery, you would think once you make your decision, you're good. But a lot of women have anxiety and doubt
Mm-hmm.
and fear that builds as they're getting close to the surgery, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's like peaking days before, like, is everything going to work out? Did I pick the right surgeon? How is my
Mm-hmm.
recovery going to be? I'm afraid of the pain. I'm afraid of
Right.
this. What if I don't wake up? Like, all of
Yeah.
these irrational fears just start to bubble up,
Mm-hmm.
and you just have to work through it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why in my coaching, like, I try to work with them so much beforehand that we are avoiding these doubts as we get closer. But it
Mm-hmm.
still happens. They still,
Yeah.
it's still, there's no way to go around it.
Mm-hmm.
Just gotta.
And you can control what you can control, and that is, you do your best to do whatever you can to control what you can control, you know.
Yep. So, okay,
Okay.
let's go into a little bit about nutrition.
Yeah, yeah.
How does nutrition play a role in the healing after surgery?
Your body runs on nutrition. Every organ in your body runs on nutrition. That's why we are always having to feed and drink in order to fuel, to give gas to our bodies. And after surgery, your body goes through what's called a surgical stress response, where your body is revved up. The metabolism is like 40% higher, and your body needs more nutrition. And it needs all of these vitamins, all of these macronutrients like protein and carbohydrates, because it has to do a lot of things after surgery. It has to help your organs still run. That's the first thing. After surgery, your body's like, I just went through trauma. What needs to happen first? So they make sure that your organs are supplied with the proper nutrients. But then they take the other nutrition and they get the muscle that was cut and they use that protein, and then they start building and putting that muscle back together. Oftentimes in the surgery space, they'll talk about tissue, which it is tissue, right? And it's also, there's much more layers than just muscle, but they use the protein to do that. And then they also, at the final stage, also have to seal your incision. And that takes other micronutrients and minerals and all the nutrition. So at every stage of your recovery after surgery, it takes a different type of a different nutrient. Not they're still working together, but it has all the nutrients that it needs. And that journey, it requires all of your nutrition. And then on top of that, it requires just the basic carbohydrates just to have the energy to do all this. So when we talk about surgery, we say your body does not heal in isolation. It has to have all of the nutrition in order to heal after surgery. But it also has to do with your mental status too. Like your nutrition is going to help your post op mental status. So you're going to feed your brain, you're going to feed your tissue, you're going to feed your organs, you're going to feed your incision. Everything about that is through nutrients.
I love it. Thank you for
Yeah.
breaking it down for us. So in the Sulinu drink,
Yeah.
what do you call it? Cosmetic surgery nutritional powder?
Yeah. That's we're constantly trying to figure out the best name for it. We've changed
I'm
it
like,
several times.
I'm like, it's not like a protein. It's not like a protein drink. It's
Yeah.
like a.
Yes.
You just have to read the back of the bag.
Yeah,
Just read the back of the bag.
and right there, that's mistake of Sulinu, right? We're like, okay, we need to reel this in. Like this is what we need to reel in, but it's really called a nutrasurgical vitamin powder, and that's
Nutrasurgical vitamin
nutrasurgical
powder.
vitamin powder.
I love
And
it.
so that's really going to be our new name for it because it's not a protein powder, right? And it's everything. So what we did is we took what they were doing to surgery patients, what was the protocols in surgery in the hospital, because we felt this is just as important. And we took that nutrition that we were giving to patients in the hospital and we put it into Sulinu.
Oh,
And
I
so,
love that.
but then it also was like, as a woman, and as a dietitian, I was like, we are not doing this other crap that everybody else is doing. We're not doing 15, 20 pills. We're not doing, like, you have to take, and if you, one of the nurses actually told me, she said, I can give your product when they're on an empty stomach. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like you can do it on an empty stomach because you're not hungry, but you still need nutrition. So I said, I need it from a woman having surgery. I want it complete. I want it no cheap ingredients. I want it in one scoop or a half a scoop, just something simple. It has to be simple, and it has to be something that's not cheap and uh, and low quality, and just these vitamins, they have 10,000% of B12, and it's just like, no, we're going to give them the right dosages to actually help them heal, and it's going to be like what I would want. So that's what I tell people. I created the product that I wish I'd had in the hospital, and I created it as if I was going to use it, which in marketing, sometimes you're not supposed to do that. But for me, I was like, well, I know what I would want, and this is what I would want. So that's how we created the before and after vitals nutraceutical vitamin powder.
Oh, I love that. I love to
Yeah.
hear that. What are the top 3 changes that you recommend a woman does prior to their plastic surgery?
Okay. So this has changed. The more that I'm just seeing women in general, and I'm just going to talk nutrition point of view, right? Nutrition point of view. So the very first thing is to understand that salt is the new sugar, and that it's in everything now. It's in everything. And so to understand to how to read a food label, I think is the biggest thing. And just to understand that everything you're eating, if it's outside the home, the majority of it is just loaded with salt. If you can understand that, you will have significantly better results just from the sodium aspect. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I tell everybody, listen, whether you use our product or whether you don't use our product, you've got to get on you've got to start taking a multivitamin with minerals. And I mean with minerals. So what that means is you're taking multivitamin, which is like your B's, all your B's, your C's, ADEK, that's before. You're not supposed to take vitamin E right before surgery, but just a general multivitamin. But then with the minerals, so that's also like your magnesium, right? Your calcium, also a little bit of your iron. So you've got to do that. If you're having surgery within 6 months, that is a must. Multivitamin with minerals. So you're creating your foundation of nutrition. And that's what you're doing before surgery is like just doing like imagine your nutrition as a triangle, and that foundation is just multivitamin with minerals. So you're replenishing any nutrient deficiencies that you have in your body, which you do. Like everybody, I know that you're healthy. I know people are healthy and all this stuff, but I see it across the board. That's the first thing. The second thing is the sodium. And the third thing is really just understanding um, protein in general. Just, I think people, no matter what, all the protein that's talked about in surgery, in general, most people can't name more than three proteins, chicken and eggs, right? Chicken, eggs, protein powder. And you've talked about it too. Like we don't, you cannot survive on shakes and bars. So I want you to name 12 proteins that you know that are in your kitchen before surgery. That's what I say, a dozen. I say a dozen proteins. They don't have to be all like in your fridge. They can be in your pantry, nuts, all those things. But I think those three things are like the biggest things of just knowledge, just knowledge.
I love
Um,
that.
to give you a good, I mean, just have a good foundation. And just think of it, you're building a foundation that you're going to use for the rest of your life, you know?
I want you to tell my girls because I know they've gone through this. And I watched one of your videos years ago, so you might not even remember it, but I still remember it.
Oh,
Of being at the grocery store, looking at the broths and low sodium, no sodium, and what was the other one? I don't remember
yeah.
the other one.
Yeah.
But tell my girls the difference. And when
Oh,
you're talking about reading the label, what are they looking for?
I know. And to start off saying, like, I have laid in bed thinking, how can I educate this? Like, how can I keep talking about this? And I think it really needs to be just me pointing at a label and just talking about it. I need
This
to
is what
do,
I'm talking about.
yeah, just pointing at a label and just doing this. Okay. So first, the important thing is that marketing is food marketing is very deceptive. So knowing what you're looking at is so important. And if you get overwhelmed, here's the basics. When you're looking at a food, you want to choose unsalted or no added salt. Those should be your two choices. The ones that are tricky and a little bit sneaky are lower in sodium or reduced sodium. Those get tricky, they're hard to understand. And by law, they don't have to be low sodium to put those labels on there. So you could still be taking something that's lower sodium. Yeah, it's crazy. And so for instance, I went to the store and they said it's a lower in sodium spices. It was a fourth of a teaspoon, which is literally a pin drop, and it had 150 milligrams of sodium. And it's just so tricky. They try to deceive the customer in whatever they can do. So stick to those two things. Unsalted, no added salt. Those are your two best bets. And then just get those two basics down. And then when you get to food labeling, the two most important things are understanding what the serving size is, because that's where they start lying to you, is they start saying the serving size is, this tiny, tiny, tiny amount, knowing that you're going to have 20 of those. You got to look at serving size, and that you want to have the amount of sodium under 200 milligrams. You really want to try to eat under 1,800 milligrams a day, which is hard. But just getting those two pieces together would be huge for sodium. But I need to do more of that about the
Oh
swelling.
yeah,
In
I would
fact,
love that. Do a
swelling is
series.
probably my most popular. Swelling
Do a
education is my
series.
most popular out of all the videos that I ever do.
Well, it's because it's so tricky. So now that I've had my girls in the recovery haven, I'm able to like watch them day by day how their swelling is, and you can see the peak of swelling at like week day 3 when they're like super swollen, and then it starts to come down, but then something happens. They
Yeah,
are finally over, like finally feel like they want to eat something, and they don't want anything other than something that they're
salty.
craving, and
Right.
it happens to be salty, and then the next day I see, oh, here we go, the swelling,
Yeah.
or our swelling's higher.
And really, when I was doing coaching, what I was telling them is I just, that's kind of to like um, the mental aspect. First of all, you don't have to binge. So they would always be like, I'm craving a huge thing of Chinese. They were always craving pizza and Chinese food. I'm like, what is up with these two things? They're like, I'm just craving
They're
Chinese
just
food. I'm just
hungry. It's probably
crave.
that they're just feel so hungry.
Yeah, and they just like, I'm just craving it. And so it was like, so there's two things that were happening here. I'm like, first, we cannot label something as bad and something as good, because your mind will want that bad thing every single day. So let's take that off the thing, because that's just what we do, right? We just want that. And so it was like, okay, how can you satisfy this craving and still not go into swell hell? you know and a lot of times it can be say that you'll like maybe go over. It's like, it's okay if you're going to do 2,500 milligrams, just don't do 6, right? Like, if you want this sweet and sour chicken, that's has everything, that's going to cause you to go into swell health, you can have it. We just have to make it so that it's enough in a portion size to make you feel satisfied, and maybe we're going to have like the fried rice that's not going to have sodium in it, so you feel like you're still satisfying. You'll go over a little bit, yeah, you'll go over like your sodium goals, but we just don't want you to eat the 6,000, because that's what's happening. When I even talk to clients who are like, I had this one, she had bariatric, and she had tons of surgeries, and she said, I feel like I'm only about 50% compliant with the sodium aspect, and I'm not getting that much swelling. I think a lot of it is because she was on Sulinu, but the other part was that she didn't do the 7,000 milligram a day, and it's easy to do. you know she just probably did a few days of 2,500, 3,000, satisfied her sodium goals. Um and then, I try not to be like the boring dietitian, but it's like, that's when you really have to start doing like, oh man, there's ideology. Spiceology has this nothing but the salt seasoning. It is incredible. It's incredible. So just, really trying to add a variety.
There was something else that I really loved from your posts, which was getting your flavoring from spices. There was a
Oh,
video you made about like you don't you think you need salt, but really you just need some spice in your life.
yes. Yeah. So I tell everybody to buy Aleppo pepper. It's kind of like a red pepper flake. Um, I use it now on so much to add like that kick. So it's kind of like jalapenos, like you're just
Yeah.
adding like, I mean, the Aleppo pepper is more of like a smoky, where, jalapeno is like more of a kick. But, having some kind of kick like that, it totally can change. It can really satisfy that part of your tongue, because your tongue is divided into like 5 different sensory like seasonings that it can taste. So part of your tongue can space bitter, salty. It's amazing how your tongue is divided. So it's like, you just can satisfy that with lipo pepper, or finishing, like I have this soup that's like, you finish off with like tons and tons of cilantro and lime and lemon. I mean, doing that right there. And then really, I tell people, just buy everything for Spiceology or Mrs. Dash. Mrs. Dash has a ton of really good spicy seasonings as well.
They
So,
do.
just even just making small changes, you can really make a difference in your body, because that's what my clients are coming back. Oh, I say clients, my customers, they're just like, just doing the small changes have made a huge difference in my swelling.
Yeah, and I see it. I've
Yeah,
seen the results in person of the
yeah.
Sulinu nutrition powder and how the women who are taking it religiously, who really do drink it,
Hmm.
how they see the difference in their
Yeah, yeah, for
swelling,
sure.
healing. They just heal faster.
Hmm. And that is totally true. I've seen it. I've completely seen it as well. And that we were just talking about too, like the scar health, like this. I know scars, they have to do with, the skill of the surgeon, you know. And then there's been a video out that a surgeon said it's all genetics of how your scar looks. And I was like, well, I've seen, I've seen, I don't know, like I've seen gorgeous scars because they did it right, and then I've seen not gorgeous scars because it opened and closed, it opened and closed. They had tons of swelling. I mean, that's not genetic. That's lifestyle factors, you know. So, um, I think it's so true.
So, something before we end our episode, I want to touch back on something that you and I were talking about before we started recording, which was that 3 to 4 week mark, 6 week
Oh,
mark. That's when you're starting to get worried. And so, let's
hmm,
talk about that a little bit
yeah,
because for most women, when they're thinking about their recovery journey and they're planning and they're doing all of the preparations, they're thinking the first couple of weeks
yeah,
after
hmm,
surgery, which is the
hmm,
toughest, which is,
hmm,
yes, this is what you need to plan for. This is when you're going to need the most help. This is when you're going to need the most um, everything. This
yeah,
is when it's going to be tough the first 2 weeks.
hmm,
But most of the time, and I want to talk about this because I've seen it myself with my own
hmm,
clients once they go back home, and
hmm,
it's difficult to maintain that same recovery mode once,
right,
you're back home with your kids, your husband, you got
hmm,
work, you have your parents, you have this, you got kids' school things, you're back at
hmm,
life. You're back to
hmm,
life.
hmm,
So, let's talk a little bit about that after 3 weeks
hmm.
mark.
Weeks 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's a big, but if I could go back and talk as a coach, I would say those are the first 2 weeks are your physically hard. Those other 4 weeks is going to be your mentally difficult, because that is always, always, always when we start seeing the problems, the reopened wounds, the fungal infections, the incision site infections, the slow healing. Something's happening. It's always at that mark, because they have, I tell people, your doctor has cleared you possibly for exercise. That does not necessarily mean that you are metabolically ready for it. And what I just tell people that is, yeah, I mean, like, you're feeling good, like you can go do stuff, but your body still has to have not just the rest and the sleep, but it still has to have a lot more calories and nutrition. And so some doctors are saying, an extra 200 calories a day in the hospital, which I know is more invasive. I mean, we're doing like 700 extra calories a day, because that's how much you're going to, and water, right? And more water. And that's just not happening because now you're busier, and you're busier. Even if you're just doing the normal things, you're burning more calories, and by burning more calories, your body doesn't have that energy anymore to seal your wound, and that's when your incision opens. That's when you can get infections. And so that's the biggest thing with moms, with women, moms, wives, anybody, is that season, like almost mentally telling yourself, I will rest. I will stand up for myself. I will have to, you have to advocate for yourself when you get home. You have to, you know, because you're not going to have a doctor who's going to say, you still
She can't
can't do
do that.
anything. Your doctor's
Put the
going to be
broom
like, yeah,
down.
you're
You can't
good.
do that.
I'll see you at your 6 week appointment. Yeah, you're good. But no, it is like really advocating for yourself, because perfect example, my one of my best friends, she was calling me, and she was walking out and about by day 2, and she was so excited. And I was just like, this is not
Go
going
back
to go well.
home. Put your feet up. Sit
This is
down.
not. And she was out having coffee with her mom, and they're proud of that, right? Like, they're proud of that. And I understand that. Like, our goal when we say heal faster is in like the overall process is to heal faster. And sure enough, like week 6 opened up, you know,
And
and
it
it's not,
sucks.
nobody's doing it on their own. It's just that that season is just like, they just didn't, they were, she was moving, and, you know, just all this
Lots
stuff.
of stuff was going
So,
on. Yeah.
so yes, I tell people it's not just weeks 1 and 2, 3. It is weeks 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Still, you are metabolically high. Your metabolism is still elevated. It still needs extra water, extra calories, extra protein.
I like to tell my girls, I actually, it was after one of our conversations where you told me to, we talked about averages of like how much calorie they should be taking in on average. So I like to tell my girls, because what I've seen is everything looks great. They're starting to feel better. They don't want to ruin their results.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're eating less. So
Mhm.
they're what they were now, peaking in their calorie intake. Now they're like, oh, I can't go back
Yeah.
to the way I was eating before because I'm going to
Mhm.
ruin my results.
Right.
And so they start restricting their calories. And that's when I see
Mhm.
incisions open up and
Mhm.
different things start to happen that
Right.
can be avoided. So I like to tell my girls, especially the ones who have BBLs, especially if you got a
Mhm.
BBL or if you got
Mhm.
fat transferred to the breast or if you have fat
Yes.
transferred to your face. It is okay for you to gain a few pounds during
Mhm.
your recovery,
Mhm.
making sure that you're eating the enough calories that your incisions are healing. It's okay. It's
Mhm.
better than the opposite, which is not eating enough and your incisions opening up or your fat not getting what it needs to
Mhm.
survive. And those
Mhm.
those precious fat cells that we need to plump up aren't getting
Mhm.
what they need and they're not going to
Mhm.
survive.
That's, I love that you're saying that, because that's like the narrative that I've been trying to change in the plastic surgery space. And when I first said it, I was like, I just thought I'm going to get so much pushback, but I didn't. But I just said, and I even was like so hesitant to say it, but I said, now with a GLP, you can
Even more.
you can be okay. Like, you can be okay, because if you have that sealed incision that never opens up, you're going to have that gorgeous scar. And then if you need to lose the 3 pounds, 5 pounds, then we can do that GLP 6 months, whatever, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months later. It doesn't matter. But if your scar and not having an infection and not having a slow healing, that is just that for that tiny little window. And then I promise you now with this GLP, like, boom, we can get you back. But I'm glad that you're saying that you can, like, we can come together and start changing this narrative so that people are not so afraid of eating the extra calories, because it's just like, you've got to keep that transferred fat. Your body has to feel safe. I say that all the time. You start calorically restricting, your body will not feel safe, and it'll start ignoring your skin. And so I tell people all the time, your body, you think your skin's important. Your body doesn't care about your skin. Your body cares about the organs, and your body will forget about the skin. And so we've got to keep that. And always, the GLP will always be there. Always, always, always. But that's the part too where starting to educate the surgeons, if they'll listen, is just that, just those
If
tiny
they'll
things of,
listen is the key.
sometimes I've noticed there was a TikTok surgeon out from California, and he said something on his TikTok that, I mean, I don't want to say like, oh, this came from me, but I was like, that is a new narrative that has not been introduced. And you're starting to say a new narrative that I know was not introduced before 2019. And that's great. That's what we want. We want that new narrative of, this is you have been given lies about the plastic surgery nutrition, but we've got to change that, because it's a serious we love you and we want this, we want a serious out, this is a serious surgery and we want the best outcomes.
Absolutely. And
So I love that you're educating. It's great. It's like one big family, like sharing the information.
yeah, and I learned that from you. I learned it from episodes that we did together
Yeah.
because my girls know, as when I was a coordinator, we do what's in the office. I learned from the doctors, from the nursing staff, from seminars, from courses that they would send us
Yeah.
to, from the meetings, the aesthetic meetings. I would attend them, but nutrition was never
Yeah.
at the top of what we were learning. It was
Hmm.
more about the products and the procedures and
Right.
other things that had nothing to do with nutrition. And that's,
Right.
but I had seen with my own eyes
Hmm.
how nutrition, one girl specifically that I'm never going to forget, um, one of my last coordinator position, we had the nurse and a massage therapist who would go give them their first massage and their first nurse visit after their surgery. So within the first 3 days, either the nurse together and the massage therapist, they would go. And I really loved that because we were it was a boutique office, so it was very small. We all kind of knew what's going on with each patient. Everybody was in the know. And so the nurse told me, hey, our patient so and so told me that she's only eating protein bars because and Herbalife shakes because
Mm.
she used to weigh 300 pounds and now
Hmm.
she's at 150 and she's so afraid of
Hmm.
ending back
Hmm.
where she was
Hmm.
that she's doing protein bars and shakes.
Hmm.
And she told me, I'm letting you know because we know what's coming.
Hmm.
Sure enough, maybe a week or two later, she's in the office with her. She had a fleur de lis and her incisions opening up, and
Mm.
she was already
Hmm.
maybe 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out.
Hmm.
So I'll never forget that, and that was
Yeah.
something that I knew. Okay, I knew that when I left the
Hmm.
when I
Hmm.
left coordinating and I launched my show, and that's why when I met you, I was like, yes, this
Hmm.
I know we need
Yeah.
this. We
Hmm.
need nutrition
Hmm.
education and
Hmm.
support after plastic surgery
Hmm.
because it's important. It's very, very
Hmm.
important to how well a patient goes through their
Hmm.
surgery recovery. And that's really why I was like, anything Kylie says, I'm learning.
Well, this is something that I even debated about even saying on the show. But um the surgeons have their own very interesting nutrition perspectives for their own life. Every surgeon that I've met, they eat something, the way they eat is always like real different. That's the nicest way I can say it.
It's
And that's
because
okay.
medical school and residency and they've been in
They've
school, they've been in the pits for the
that
last
yeah,
freaking.
and they've what they've done is they've picked up a book that has great research. They've adopted that way of eating, but what has happened is that they can't help to project that onto their patient. And that's where things go south because regardless of what they believe, oh my gosh, a therapist told me, she goes, you can change somebody's religion before you can change somebody's nutrition. And I
Dang.
said, that is true because I'm telling you, if I say anything about certain diets, I like people just come out of the woodworks. But it's like that's what I've noticed. I said, well, these surgeons are eating, they each have their own like very specific way of eating, and they think that is the healthiest way. But being healthy is subjective. And so they're trying to project this onto the patients. And the reason why it's not working is number one, it's not surgery nutrition. But number two is that they don't have a plan to help the patient. They're just projecting this onto the patient. And so then the patient's just because confusion creates, confusion in a patient, they're just going to stop. So part of this like education is like teaching the surgeons, your nutrition is subjective and we cannot teach your nutrition to your patients. I know that you think it's like the best way, but I can guarantee you, even if the way that you're eating is right, you can't teach this to your patients because it'll cause them to be confused. We have to teach the basics to the patient, what we know to be the best for surgery. And so that is part of like my passion project too, is it, and I mean my friends who are surgeons, they all eat like everybody kind of eats, they all have their own thing, right?
Because we don't. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I get it.
everybody's eating their own thing, right? I mean, when I was telling you that we were going camping with those surgeons, like we all kind of joke every year, like, okay, what are you eating now? They're like, I'm on the carnivore, I'm intermittent fasting, like we're all doing like these crazy things. But it's like when it comes to your patients, we have to give valid surgery nutrition education, because that's the only thing that we have that we know is going to work for them. And when we're all on the same page and they have resources, like we have a surgery guide, we have a protein guide, like just the basic stuff, that's going to give your patient success. That's going to give it to them. So that's my goal too, is like with you, like, like we're all kind of trying to change the narrative to just educating the patient and and talk about that, right? With the fear of the weight loss, and the fear of the weight gain, things like that.
Fear of weight
Changing
gain.
that narrative for those patients.
Yeah, it's okay. Gain a few pounds. We'll work it out on the other
Yeah.
side. Once your incisions are nice
Yeah.
and closed and healthy and strong,
Yeah.
then you can do whatever you want. But
Yeah. Right.
before, let's get you
Let's do it.
there. Yeah,
Right.
let's get you
Right.
there. So
Absolutely.
now I have a meeting coming up actually with one of my girls who is past now. She's like 12-week past. She's past the 12 weeks, which is how long I tell them, like, if you're gonna eat until 12 weeks. Feed
Mm-hmm.
that fat. Feed the
Mm-hmm.
fat, because if they're having BBLs, feed the fat, and
Mm-hmm.
then we'll come back and address.
Yeah.
Because on the flip side, for my girls who are like, oh no, I'm not gonna do it, okay, then lose your fat.
Yeah. And then have to go back and do another surgery.
And then go
Right.
back for round two. I
Right.
like
Right.
that. The answer is feed the fat. And
Mm-hmm.
I think I even have an episode. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking that you need to feed the fat, go back to my previous episodes and you're gonna find an episode about feeding the fat. I
Mm-hmm.
think you were on it, Kylie. It was a while back, a
I
few
feel like
years
we did
ago.
do a BBL. I know, because I I I tell people, I'm like, listen, you're not eating 4,000 calories a day, right? You're not. That's the one thing that when I first stepped into the space, I was like, damn, like they're eating bacon grease and stuff, like
Yeah.
we're just talking about you're adding in nuts, you're adding in, like you're adding in help, like better ways of eating, a little bit more calories, a little bit more things like that. And yeah, so that's the feeding the fat. But the original way was just like pounding
Pork
the,
out.
yeah, you're like, okay, let's just scale it back. But I definitely recommend 8 to 12 weeks, and and then going back and saying, okay, I've kept my fat, especially there is I have a great fat transfer doctor that I love. And yeah, there was just two patients, they were just too afraid, and they were just too afraid of the weight gain, and then they just lost it. So
And it happens. I've
yeah.
I've seen it happen over and over again. Even my
Yeah.
girls, honestly, since we brought up GLP-1s before we go, even my girls who fed the fat, their fat survived and now they want to bring it back, like slim down. Your fat, your newly transferred fat is going to behave the way all of the other fat in your body does. So
Hmm.
if you are losing weight, it's not going to be everywhere except your butt. You're
Right.
going to lose the weight everywhere.
Right.
Or
Right.
it's not,
That your body does not know the different. Yeah. Right.
yeah,
Right.
you can't
And
pick and
really, if
choose.
I had to say anything about after a fat transfer, especially with the BBL, I would definitely say like work more on the exercise part. That's when to do like the weight resistance and the training. That's what I would say. It was like, yes, do the diet, but really, if you want to change it, like work on that toning. Um,
There's, I know for myself, my I feel the best about myself when I am being consistent with my workouts, when I'm
Mm-hmm.
being consistent with how well I eat, and how, if I'm using all my products on my skin, if I'm doing all of
Right.
the things. But I fall off too, and it's
Oh yeah.
okay. We all fall off.
Right.
The for me specifically, what I tell myself, because y'all know I try to not talk mean to myself like I used to. So I tell myself, it's okay, Mavi. It's all about consistency. So
Right.
don't beat yourself up for missing a few days.
Right.
Get yourself up and go do it now,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
take and make it okay. That was past. So just continuously working on yourself after
Yeah.
plastic surgery, not just physically thinking about how you're going to look physically, but working out and getting exercise is really good for your
Yeah.
whole being, for your
Mm-hmm.
mind, for your
Mm-hmm.
stamina, for
Mm-hmm.
your energy. Like, it's really good for you. So
Right. And
I
if
like
you're
to tell
if you
my
didn't
girls to
hit
get
your
into it.
goals that day, like say you binged or say you didn't do what you're supposed to do, it the what is the next step is okay, what about I'm going to start over the next meal. I'm not going to start over on the first. I'm not going to start over on a Monday. I'm going to start over on the next meal or the next day. Like, not having a drastic way of looking at everything, but just saying like, okay, today was not my best day. I'm a human being and that's okay. But I will start again tomorrow. And that's where we start again. And I think that is where we're so bad on ourselves, right? About messing up is like, okay, I'll just have to start on the first. I used to be that way. I had to start on the first or start on a Monday, but it's like, I'm just going to start the next day or the next meal, you
The
know?
next time, the next opportunity I
Right.
have to get it right.
Right. Right. Right.
Totally agree.
Yeah,
Man,
absolutely.
Kylie, I'm so sad that we only get an hour because we have
Could talk
so
for
much to talk
hours.
about. Yeah. You have to come
Are you doing
back.
any more conferences? What are you doing for the next year for
Ah,
conferences?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're in October now. We're about to be in November. So it is busy season and surgery. So right now I'm going to get through busy season and come out in January, February, just thinking about what's happening next year.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll attend any conferences. I might.
Yeah.
But really, my main goal is helping throughout 2026 is going to be how many women can I help become the woman of their dreams?
Yay! I love it. Are you gonna get your day planner? Because I ordered my day planner.
Oh, yeah. Ah, yeah. Okay. So
I
thanks you
love that
guys.
thing.
Thanks you
I
guys
you
for
need you
listening.
need to be a spokesperson for them because I think I'm on my fifth one. It's amazing, people. It's amazing. Oh yeah, you've got this. Is that the smaller one? Because I switched over to the smaller one.
This is the big one. I like the
Okay,
big one.
I switched from the bigger one to the smaller one. I mean, I like both. I like both.
I love this thing. It's
Shout it out. Like, it's Lake and Loft, right?
Lake and
Like,
Loft. So you guys, this planner, I
get it,
started
girls.
using it like, I don't know how long ago, Kylie, did I tell you about this?
Oh man,
Years.
like maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, and I get it every year. I love it. They come out with you can purchase it like in December. They send it to you in January. But I
Yeah.
really love it because I feel like it's helped me get
Oh.
my life together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, you need to be a spokesperson because I'm obsessed with this thing. Best thing ever.
Lake and Loft, y'all
Lake and
sponsor me.
Loft, 10%
Sponsor
off.
me.
Code Mavi.
Thank you, Kylie, for being on the show.
Hey girl,
And
I love
I'll
you.
see you
You're
guys.
gonna explode next year, and not just like I just proclaim it, not over just financially, but just explode it in terms of your impact. Right? At this stage, we're about impact. Right?
Impact. How
Impact.
many women can I help? That's
Impact.
my
All right.
question.
Hey girl. All right. Good to see your beautiful
Bye.
face. All right. Bye bye, darling.
Thinking about plastic surgery, but you don't know where to start? I've got you. With 18 years in the industry and experience working with top board certified plastic surgeons, I help women like you make informed and confident decisions. Whether you need help choosing a surgeon, planning your recovery, or understanding what to expect, I've got your back. Skip the guesswork and get expert guidance by booking a call with me today. That's a wrap for this episode of Big Butts No Lies. If you found this episode helpful, do me a favor and subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who's considering plastic surgery. Until next time, stay confident, stay informed, and remember, big butts don't lie.